On the night of October 2, 1938, the streets of Halifax were plunged into a terror so vivid that even the most stoic shopkeepers clutched their doors, fearing a phantom attacker who could strike without warning. In the span of a single week, whispers of a mysterious slasher turned ordinary alleys into hunting grounds, and the city's very sense of safety dissolved into a collective nightmare, a stark reminder of how suggestion can become a weapon of its own. Halifax, a bustling industrial hub in West Yorkshire, was no stranger to hardship. The lingering shadows of the Great Depression had already frayed the morale of its working-class families, while the looming specter of war in Europe added an undercurrent of unease. Yet, on that chilly October evening, an ordinary night shift worker named William Wadsworth reported a terrifying encounter. He claimed that a man, his face hidden beneath a dark hat, had lunged at him on the dimly lit street, slashing his throat with a razor-sharp blade before disappearing into the fog. Wadsworth's account was vivid, his wounds real, and within hours his story ignited a firestorm of fear. Within days, the number of alleged victims swelled. Young women returning from the cinema, shop clerks locking up after the last bell, even a schoolteacher walking home after a late lesson, all claimed to have been accosted by a shadowy figure brandishing a knife. The press, eager for sensational headlines, labeled the assailant the Halifax slasher, and the city's newspapers ran lurid sketches of a tall, cloaked man with a glinting blade. As the rumors spread, the police received a flood of reports, some detailed, others vague, many contradictory. Yet each new claim added weight to the growing hysteria, and the police were forced to treat the specter as a genuine threat. Detective Inspector Harold G. Finch, charged with the investigation, faced an impossible task. The alleged attacks left little forensic evidence, no fingerprints, no blood spatter, no weapon recovered. The few injuries reported were often superficial scratches, bruises, or in some cases, merely the result of panic-induced self-infliction. Still, the authorities set up patrols, posted notices urging citizens to stay indoors after dark, and offered a reward for information leading to the capture of the slasher. The city's mood darkened, shopkeepers shuttered windows, and the once lively market squares fell silent as dusk approached. Amid the growing panic, a pivotal moment arrived on October 8, when a teenage girl named Elsie Harrington claimed she had been attacked on the corner of King Street. She described the attacker's eyes as cold as ice, and swore she saw a flash of metal as the blade grazed her arm. Her story was picked up by the local paper, and a crowd gathered at the scene, armed with lanterns and makeshift weapons, hoping to catch the phantom. The night passed without incident, but the mere presence of a vigilant mob amplified the collective belief that a predator prowled the streets. As the weeks wore on, skepticism began to surface. Dr. Arthur B. Hargreaves, a local physician, noted that many of the reported wounds could be explained by minor accidents or even imagined pain, a psychosomatic response to the pervasive fear. He warned that the power of suggestion can manifest as physical sensation, especially in a community already on edge. Yet his rational voice was drowned out by the clamor of terrified citizens demanding action. The turning point arrived on October 15, when a group of local men, convinced that the slasher was a real individual, attempted to apprehend a suspect they spotted near the railway arches. The man, a harmless railway worker named Thomas "Tommy" Jenkins, was dragged from his workbench, beaten, and held for hours while the crowd shouted accusations. Police intervened, but the damage was done. The incident sparked outrage, not only for the assault on an innocent man but for the stark realization that the city's fear had turned neighbor against neighbor. A formal inquiry was convened and the case was brought before the Halifax Magistrates' Court. Prosecutors presented the testimonies of 23 alleged victims, each describing similar details: a dark figure, a glinting knife, a sudden, fleeting encounter. The defense, however, introduced medical experts who testified that many injuries were consistent with self-inflicted cuts or accidental bruises. Moreover, forensic analysis of the alleged crime scenes revealed no trace of blood, no discarded weapon, and no footprints, only the lingering echo of a collective imagination. The trial concluded with a verdict that shocked the city. No individual could be held legally responsible for the attacks, as the evidence was insufficient to prove the existence of a singular perpetrator. The magistrates declared the incidents a case of mass hysteria, attributing the surge of reports to the contagious nature of fear and suggestion in a community under duress. The ruling was met with mixed reactions: relief among skeptics, disbelief among those who still clung to the belief in a hidden assailant. In the aftermath, a coroner's inquest was held to examine the physical injuries reported. The autopsy reports, compiled by Dr. Hargreaves, documented that the majority of wounds were superficial lacerations, ranging from 0.5 cm to 2 cm in length, with clean, horizontal cuts indicative of accidental or self-inflicted injuries rather than defensive wounds. One victim, a 19-year-old factory worker, displayed a bruise pattern consistent with a fall onto a hard surface, not a knife attack. Subscribe to the Autopsy Files for more stories like this.